So here we are at the barricade. There's a motorized vehicle. I believe this is a man of civic action. Going for a ride like people have been doing for over a century down here. Beautiful day here on Elberta Beach, but nobody gets to enjoy it because there's a big hunk of concrete in their way. Yep. Sign. Johnny Law driving up, getting in close. No parking here. Block the area.
How you doing?
How's it going, man?
What's that?
How's it going?
I can't hear you.
I said, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. What's going on today?
Not much. Henry David Thoreau of Benzie County.
How you doing?
Doing good.
How's the bike ride?
Great.
Awesome.
Keeping it at 10 miles an hour is kind of hard.
Sure. It's hard to control those bikes when they a nice day like this, right? You just want to get out and rip. So what are you guys up to today?
Just trying to demonstrate that the village is illegally impeding my access to this publicly dedicated access roadway.
Sure. Which road is this? Is it
This
even
is
marked?
Lakeside Boulevard,
Lakeside Boulevard?
dedicated to public use in 1907.
What's that?
Dedicated to public use in 1907.
Oh, that's nice.
Ordnance police are down there too.
Oh yeah.
This is-
Yeah.
Why does Elberta want to block access?
Because they say that everything that's been going on down here historically since the beginning of time is still going on. And
Historically, from the beginning of time?
from the beginning of the dedication, people
So
were down here
So there's
camping.
dinosaurs still down here?
Maybe. But from 1907 until current, people were using this area, this roadway, as
Sure.
a street to drive on vehicles, even though the vehicles were a lot different back in 1907.
Sure.
Historically, it's been used for camping, for recreation, people driving on the roadway. There's actually an easement that goes up through here somewhere. That's a street, Prospect Street, that runs perpendicular to Lakeside Boulevard, which is a public access to the beach. And at the end of Lakeside Boulevard, a couple thousand feet down there, there's another public access road end that goes right into Lake Michigan.
Sounds like you have all the paperwork to address with Elberta.
Yeah, but their only solution every time they think the sky is falling is to barricade it. And
Go ahead. Sorry. The phone put me on the radio. Is that you?
so it even shows through your system you may have insurance now.
When Secretary of State, they do audit on license plates
Oh, every so often.
every so often, so it gives us a better idea if there's insurance or no insurance.
What was your name?
Weaver,
Here, I'm using
how you doing? I understand there's a. You've been in to talk to Kyle, the undersheriff, and stuff about this and
Yeah,
everything.
I'm going to tell you recently.
I'll talk to the sheriff. what's the big
The big argument.
I haven't
this
been
is okay.
involved in.
Have you ever given a ticket for impeding traffic?
Sure. Well,
So-
actually, no.
Never.
Tickets have been pled down because I told the magistrate, like, if they want to, you know,
But there's a
pay a
civil, there's a
ticket or
civil
whatever.
infraction for impeding traffic.
Sure.
Okay. That is my complaint against the village, is that they're impeding my traffic on this publicly dedicated
Well, I believe
roadway.
that's specifically to motor vehicles, I believe.
I don't think
Under
so.
the motor vehicle code.
You could stand in the middle of the road and be impeding traffic by your person.
Your person?
This is an obstruction barricade that's impeding my traffic that the village and some volunteers donated some of this garbage that they abandoned in the middle of the road that's impeding my traffic and my ability to utilize a publicly dedicated roadway that the village does not own. They do not own this property. They try to claim that they own it, but they do not own this property.
So what have you done with the village to address the issue with them?
The exact same arguments I made with you. Back in 2012.
That's fine, but I don't have any say. I can't physically remove this, so your argument with me or the sheriff's office
you could write the village, whoever, you could investigate who did this.
is nil or no.
You could investigate who did
It's
it.
brought up to the sheriff's office, you know, the proper authorities, whether it be the sheriff, undersheriff, or the lieutenant who were in the room talking with you. They're going to address that issue with Elberta. Would you agree? It's not the position of a lowly road deputy to take on a township inside the county.
Well, it's a village, and
Well-
you could do some investigation to determine
But
whether or not.
would you not agree that is for a higher up as a lieutenant, detective, or undersheriff or sheriff who has more pull than to go to the board of a village or a deputy go to the board of a village and demand stuff to get done?
I'm not demanding it. I'm not
No,
demanding
well, you just told me to go to the thing and do investigations and write so-and-so a ticket for impeding this.
Yeah, whoever put it here.
But wouldn't you think it would get done properly if you worked with the sheriff, the undersheriff, or
I told them that I was going to do it. And I was going to come down here.
but work with them. Don't tell them what you're going to do. That doesn't help.
But I gave them options. The options is I have a loader, access to a loader, and I can come down here and physically move this with a loader. The other thing is I have access to sledgehammers, and I could come down here in about a couple hours and just bash this thing
You're
into
not being
pieces.
part of the solution. You're telling them what you want done, and that never resolves anything. I know
This is the least.
I know the process is slow and it's frustrating, but the more you work with them and work with even Elberta, I know they're going to drag their heels and probably fight you tooth and nail on it, but if you work with all parties involved, so all parties can come to a resolution, then just telling them what you want done, and what you're going to do, and this is the result that you want, it's not going to get anybody anywhere.
Has anyone told you how long the temporary closure of this road is going to be?
No, I just patrol the road.
I got it, but I'll tell you, it's going to be at least at minimum the grant process that we're trying to get to put in a road about halfway down here in the parking down here. At minimum, the summer of 2018, 19, and the summer of 2020, this road is going to be barricaded if they have their way. And what other mechanism do I have to challenge this?
Who has told you that that's going to be the minimum of how long it's
Chris Sullivan from the Land Conservancy, who's assisting the village in putting together the grant application. They can't even submit their grant application until April 1st of 2018.
So
the money won't even potentially be allocated until the summer of 2000.
The village wants to put a road in down here?
There is a road.
No,
There's a road all the way.
you said they were getting a grant for a road?
To
Or
develop and maintain it.
isn't that a good thing?
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying that in the meantime, for the next this summer, 2019 and 2020, they're impeding my ability to recreate on this roadway that I've done since high school.
You're upset about getting down to bare bones is it's an inconvenience for you.
Not an inconvenience. They they are impeding my ability to recreate, as I have always done, and as thousands of other people have throughout the years. Well, that's, in a nutshell, what is irritating.
But can you not still recreate? What's prohibiting you from recreating? I mean, you still have access to the beach, whether you want
if you go on their website, their website instructs that the only way to access the beach is through their parking lot. That is what their website says.
I thought there was a sign that said access for foot traffic.
To this road, to the end, but they're saying there's no way to access the beach. If you go down this way, if you go across, the village website says you are trespassing. If you go down this road and you go across the dune, you are trespassing according to the village, even though that there's a public roadway, Prospect Avenue, is platted in here, Prospect Street, and then at the end, the road ends at Lake Michigan. It curves and it ends at Lake Michigan down here, and that's another public access.
That wasn't my understanding. My understanding was it's open to foot traffic, and foot traffic's allowed to come down here.
I can show you the Village of Alberta's website where it says that there's nowhere to access it other than there. That's what it says.
Is that all the signs right there?
No. It says it on its website. Oh. It doesn't inform people down there. And then the Sheriff's Department got a letter from Sand Products Corporation on June 4th that says that they want anyone that's trespassing down here to be ticketed by you or the Sheriff's Department or the DNR.
They even put it in Spanish. Yeah, it says pedestrian traffic only, no vehicles beyond this point. And it's temporarily closed, is what the sign says. So just to me, reading the signs is just closed to motor vehicles, which isn't blocking any recreational.
Pursuant to what? Pursuant to what is it?
Motor vehicles.
Yeah, but pursuant to what authority? What ordinance is temporary closing these?
Well, you said it was for a grant that they want to put in a road and permanently maintain it.
What legal authority?
I'm just going off of what you're telling me.
But what authority do you have to issue any type of citation for my disregarding of that sign that says no vehicle traffic past this point?
I don't know if it's an ordinance. I have authority under the ordinance.
Okay, well, what ordinance?
Whatever ordinance they put in place. If there's an ordinance. Exactly. I'm not on their website. It looks like you're getting on their website.
Well, their ordinances aren't, they got a couple ordinances on their website, but anything that pertains to this issue is not on their website. So you're saying that you're not aware.
No, what I'm saying is if there's an ordinance in effect, I can enforce ordinances. I'm not the keeper of all the ordinances of, I think we have 12 townships, and then villages on top of that can have ordinances. I'm not the keeper of all those ordinances. I've got a little 4-door car. I can't fit all that paperwork in there. I'm just trying to get the understanding of what you're so upset about, and I still don't quite understand.
This barricade is unlawful, is what we're upset about. It's unlawful now, and we shouldn't have to wait.
But what you told me is it's temporarily closed because they're seeking a grant to better maintain the road and keep it maintained.
They have a plan to submit a grant application in April of 2019. And that's only going to be considered by the Recreation Board of the state, the Michigan Trust Fund Board, in December of 2019. And they may never even get the money for the grant because they got to come up with a 25% match. So I'm not holding my breath that they're going to get a grant. I'm not, because they've applied for these types of grants for this specific purpose before and did not get it because they were in receivership to the state and had no money to make the match. So
wouldn't you want to help them to get the grant to better improve the road and better maintain it?
I would, absolutely, but I don't think...
Have you offered your resources to them to do so?
I have absolutely offered, not financial resources, because I'm not made of a lot of money.
Who is
Sand
around
Product
here?
Corporation, who owns all this property, has $1 millionaires. They're not offering any solution to this. You know, the village is trying to protect private property interests of Sand Product Corporation and some of the neighbors that live down the Trillium Trail because people drive
the
past.
same corporation doesn't want people on their private property?
No,
They don't?
that's fine.
I just talked to Sand Products not 45 minutes ago. Talked to Chuck himself. He has 2 no trespassing signs on their way. He does not want you on his property.
I think we're all set.
Pardon me?
I think we're all set.
I'm sorry.
I think we're all set.
So you are the
thank
ordinance
though.
police when I asked the other day if you
No,
were the
I'm
ordinance
not. I
police.
just live here.
Okay. And
And
you'd like
I-
it to be all private, just like Sand Products, or your
No,
house
it's
is
going to
worth
be
millions of
open
dollars?
back up. In fact,
Ma'am.
Sand Product.
And I think we're all set. Thanks.
Deputy Weaver, we know that you're a diligent law enforcement officer. I've read
No,
many
thank you. I appreciate
read
that.
many of your
You're a kind
reports.
guy.
Yeah, I've read many of your reports, and you're certainly
Really? Which reports have you read?
well. I mean, I can't even
Any
name all the
specific
different ones.
that you like?
Well, I don't know if I like them, but you're diligent. I'm just saying.
You said you read many of my reports. I was just curious which ones you've read.
Are you gonna let me
which ones you
finish,
like.
or so? I mean,
You
so
gave me a compliment.
yeah,
I
and
was just curious on which ones you've read.
well, what I'm telling you is, you certainly don't let temporary violations of law stand when you're doing your job, and we're not gonna let just because this is temporary doesn't mean it's illegal. It's still illegal, and it's illegal temporarily. It's illegal permanently, and that's why we're here, because we want to change it now, and it shouldn't be here.
So I'm going to read you.
Which reports have you read of mine that you get
We're
that
getting off
impression?
topic. I'm just going to
Oh,
read
no,
you. I know. I'm going to read you what
I'm
your
just
website
curious.
says. It says only
One
public
second.
access.
One second. I really want to listen to you. I just 1 second. I was just curious if you actually read any of my reports, or if you're just flattering me to.
No.
Well, I can guarantee you, I've read a lot of your reports.
Which reports?
Well, I'm not gonna sit here and name my. I'm not gonna name my clients on
Thompsonville
recording.
individual. This is Alberta's website.
Help me out here.
This is Alberta's.
Well, I don't want to go through your phone and click your phone, but
No,
if we
I
can
got
block this on here.
Regarding Elberta Beach. Elberta Beach is maintained blah blah blah. The only public access to the beach is from the beach parking area at the base of By Road over here. Well, look, maybe look if there are footpaths from Lakeside Blvd. They are actually on private property. Please respect the owners. So they're saying there's footpaths, which there are probably thousands of them through here, and they're on private property. And please respect the owners.
What,
and Sand Products Corporation sent a letter to the sheriff. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Are they talking about which side?
Both. Sand Products Corporation owns plats all the way down here. There's hundreds of platted lots throughout here. There's probably at least 50 through the dunes, and there's another 50 on this side or so.
So Sand Corporation owns both sides?
Both sides. And there's right about in this area, it's on the plat, is Prospect Street that goes perpendicular that runs into the water as a platted access for the public, because the deed says, the public access plat says that it was dedicated to use. The streets, the alleys, and every area between, I'm paraphrasing here, but between the plats and the water of Lake Michigan are dedicated to the use of the public. So to get across this, the village is instructing everyone, if you go to their website, that you can only go to the beach down there. That is the only way you can get in the beach. You can walk on this road, but you cannot access because you're trespassing over anywhere on their property if you go this way or that way. The letter to the sheriff on June 4th was clear that they want the DNR and the Sheriff's Department to issue trespass citations and are giving you the authority to go on their property to do so for anyone that violates their property. Well, where is Prospect Avenue in here? It's 50 foot wide. It's 50 foot wide to the beach. Okay, so that's the only place, even though the village says it doesn't exist on their website, it absolutely exists. So that's a public easement in the deed that was dedicated to public use. And then at the end of the road, there's a big swath, probably a few hundred yards, that at the end of the road that there's no plats. So between the plat and there's no plats on this side. Between the plats on this side and Lake Michigan, there's a few hundred yards where that's another dedicated public use right of way for the public to use. And the village is lying to the public on their own website. And they're erecting a barricade here with no lawful authority to do so on private property. This is not the village's road, the village's property. It's in their jurisdiction.
Whose road is
The
it?
people.
This property is owned by Sand Products Corporation, all of it. But the
Well,
easement It's an easement that's dedicated to the public use since 1907 and has been used as such all the way down a couple thousand feet.
From everything that we've talked about, it's still open to the public to use.
Not as a roadway. It's the streets and the alleys are dedicated to public use. What does the word street denote to anybody? If you look it up just in a layman's Webster dictionary, it's not a walking path. That's my argument in a nutshell. You know, they're saying that it's temporary, but there's no end in sight. When is temporary going to end?
Well, it's a good question. You've been in contact with Elberta.
It's going to be at minimum 3 summers, including this summer. That if the village has their way, this is going to be blockaded.
So at
minimum.
At minimum, in 3 summers, you would have a nicer road to, what did you say, recreate or drive on?
Absolutely.
If it's open.
Absolutely, but this could be could remain open for the meantime.
But instead, then you're just going to do what you want to fight them, so they have to take their attention off of trying to maintain it, get this grant and stuff to deal with you because you want it open now because
there's much more less restrictive means of accomplishing their goals than blockading the entire road, but not even equal protection to the rest of the public, but you're giving the protection to these people because Lakeside Boulevard starts at the edge of that parking lot, and those people get to use Lakeside Boulevard, but the rest of the public does not. And it was dedicated to public use. It wasn't dedicated to Sand Products exclusive use or the Nixes or anyone else that lives down here.
It seems like that's their driveway to get to their house.
Yeah, but this road,
which is an easement
they use to access their driveway, is Lakeside Boulevard. It starts before their house.
So is it a private road? Or is it?
It's a publicly dedicated road. It's a road it's a street that is dedicated to the public use.
So this is probably going beyond me because you're going from Elberta to, it's not Alberta's jurisdiction.
It is in their jurisdiction.
Well, I'm not saying I'm saying it is or isn't.
It's in their jurisdiction.
Well, it doesn't answer my question. Are we saying it is their jurisdiction or it isn't their jurisdiction?
I'm saying it is within their jurisdiction.
So it doesn't answer my question. Is it their jurisdiction or isn't it their jurisdiction?
It's within their jurisdiction. They have some authority to regulate the use of the streets within their jurisdiction, but it's not their property.
Okay, is this a street or whatever in their jurisdiction?
It's a street within their jurisdiction.
So, by your own words, they have authority to regulate it. They
have authority to regulate it, but
is this not what they're regulating?
They have the authority to regulate it, but they cannot regulate it in a manner that's contrary.
You. But you just said they had authority to regulate it.
As long as it doesn't defy the intent and the objective of the dedication from 1907, which was to utilize this as a street.
So I'm guessing you probably have all this paperwork handy on you at home. You're obviously not going to have it handy on you.
I have it all in digital format.
In digital format?
I pull it all up on my phone.
Have you pulled it all up, collected it, and then gone to a proper jurisdictional authority that can order the village or township or whatever to remove this? Or the difficulty there is that to have standing to bring a legal action against them to get an injunction, you basically have to have a right being impinged that is different from any other member of the general public. So like someone that's handicapped, this is absolutely not ADA accessible for someone who wants to recreate at the end of Lakeside Boulevard and access the beach. It's not. What's preventing them to get around here?
So let's say someone's
this is wide enough for a wheelchair, right?
Are you going to wheel your chair 2,000 feet down there as a handicapped person to enjoy the end of the beach where you've recreated your whole life as a handicapped person?
Well, on the beach, how are they going to wheel their wheelchair across the sand to get to the beach?
They could have someone help them.
They could have somebody help them.
If they get out of the vehicle. Someone's going to push a wheelchair 2,000 feet down this road. You think so?
Somebody's going to push a wheelchair in the looser sand. How many yards to the water?
They could provide. They have these really cool beach wheelchairs. Have you seen those? They have big balloon tires.
Beach wheelchair.
I know, but they'd have to pay for it to accommodate the handicapped person. They don't have no money. The village of Elberta. If they were
why
going,
it's not the village's fault that the person's in a wheelchair. They've made it.
They put the
That-
obstruction here.
That's not how the ADA works. They have to make reasonable accommodations.
This is open to them.
Yeah, but they have to reasonably accommodate their historic use, which is to get all the way down and recreate at the end. I'm just saying that's a legal argument that someone could bring.
I'm just trying to get your understanding on what's going. If I wanted to write you an ordinance violation, I would have wrote you one, but I want to take the time to get your understanding.
Well, I would not mind, and that was my intent when talking to Kyle Rosa and Troy Lamerson, was that there was an ordinance violation that would be forthcoming if I were to drive past this barricade.
I know you want an ordinance because you want your day in court, and
I'm going to request a formal hearing.
And shame everybody into whatever.
Not shame
but
them,
there's
but
nothing
get some clarity.
From what would a violation or formal whatever inside court do?
It challenge the constitutionality of this
action.
action.
It will allow me to demonstrate that the village has obstructed this road with a barricade unlawfully, and they cannot prohibit the dedicated use
an
for me or anyone
informal
else.
hearing that goes to a formal hearing just addresses the citation. It wouldn't order the village to remove the barricade.
No, it wouldn't. But I might not be convicted of a civil infraction if their ordinance is a civil infraction, which I have no idea if it is.
Good status, no further needed.
Judge Mead could invalidate the ordinance when you challenge it in court, and that's what we're going to do.
No, you challenge it in court. The court is for the citation.
Yeah, but it's not a valid citation.
I could challenge it. I could challenge it on the fact that the ordinance is unlawful.
Yeah.
That you wrote.
Right, and it just addresses the citation. If you're to win, good status, no further needed.
If I were to win, I could continue to drive right past this on my motorcycle, even though the barricade's still here, without fear of being given multiple ordinance violation tickets.
Well, if the ordinance is still in effect, you can still get multiple ordinance citations.
Not if the judge has struck it down as being unlawful.
But the judge has to address that with the village. That's why I'm saying you need to take your complaints or whatever, work with the village, or
the judge could agree with
they're bothering me on the radio. Apparently I can't get out. Sorry about that. Our portables suck in there.
So I mean, ultimately, you know, there's civil disobedience that is mildly mannered civil disobedience. I guess that's what I would term this to be. Then there's also
you driving, or
this is just civil disobedience, and it's calling their bluff. The other mechanism that not I but other people are absolutely considering is getting a group of people with sledgehammers and taking this thing out. You know, they could do it in a few hours with it. You know, it's only got like a cap of concrete that much, and this thing's only like 3 inches thick. It would take a while, but within a few hours you could disassemble this with sledgehammers and shovels.
But why don't you want to address that with the courts, where the courts can order them to take it out?
Because I probably don't have standing to do that myself.
Why not?
Because I don't have a specific injury that is not identical to every other member of the public. So I wouldn't have standing.
So you specifically can't sue the village of Elberta to remove it?
That at first blush, my research, yes, I would agree with that.
So you could?
No, I would agree that I don't have standing to sue it.
Why not?
Because I don't have a harm that is occurring to me that is different than any other member of the general public.
Have you seen the stuff that's gone through the courts? Anybody can sue anybody for any reason.
You could sue them, but then you might have a frivolous argument. I don't make a habit of filing frivolous court actions. So I only file them if I know I'm going to win.
Okay. So what you really want us to do is give you an ordinance citation, so we do it on your behalf.
No,
so you can get into the courts and have your day.
I want, if there is a legitimate ordinance that you can find that the village's ordinance that says that I should be ticketed for driving past this.
You've been to the village. Have they showed you the ordinance?
I have not seen I've seen a couple draft copies. I've not seen a signed final
go
copy.
Go to the village and ask to see a final copy of the ordinance. Or do you just not care enough?
No, I've seen it. I just haven't seen a signed copy. The
Well,
sheriff
right,
has a copy.
That's what I'm saying. Go to whoever has a signed copy and ask to see a signed copy.
Kyle Rosa gave me a copy the other day.
You just told me you haven't seen
It's
one.
not a signed copy. I don't have an official signed copy. It's a draft copy that doesn't even, and it's not even an ordinance. It's a resolution.
Well, what I told you to do was go see the final signed copy.
It's a resolution. That's not my job. If someone's gonna write me for violating this sign that says no vehicle traffic past this point, you have to have some authority to issue a ticket.
So it's our job to educate you on what the law is. Hey, did you know murder is illegal?
No, it's not your job to educate. It's your job to educate yourself if you are inclined to write me a ticket. Otherwise, then you're not going to write me a ticket.
You just said it's not your job to educate yourself on the laws, but mine.
If you're going to issue me a ticket,
it's not.
If you're going to issue me a ticket, you're going to have to determine whether or not I actually violated some legal statute or ordinance or regulation that would authorize you to issue me a ticket. And I mean, I don't think there is. I don't think there's legal justification for you to do so, but everyone else, the village, would say different. So if that's the case, then the village are the ones you need to talk to, because they're the ones that want me to be prosecuted for an alleged violation of whatever they think their regulations are.
I don't think they specifically want you prosecuted.
They want anyone that drives past this to be prosecuted on a motor vehicle. If they drive past this in a motor vehicle, they want someone to be prosecuted for some type of infraction. And I'm at a loss as to what lawful authority they have to enact any type of resolution that would give them the ability to censure or fine me for driving past this barricade that they illegally erected here on a publicly dedicated roadway, Lakeside Boulevard, down to the end.
That they have jurisdiction over, which you said they can...
It's within their jurisdiction, and they can regulate it.
But
they can't regulate it
in a way that you don't like.
No.
Unlawfully.
They regulate it, they are attempting to regulate it in a manner that is inconsistent with the public dedication. And if you look into public dedication law, they cannot alter the use of the public dedication. And what they're doing right here is altering its use.
It would seem to me that you'd have a good court case to sue them that they violated that.
I don't have standing. We just went through that. I
If
don't have standing.
If you don't have a standing to sue them to erect something that you think they unlawfully did, then what are you doing here?
This is a form of very mild-mannered civil disobedience. That's what I'm doing here.
You said they did it illegally, but you don't have a standing to challenge it.
Absolutely. That's absolutely the case.
I don't get that.
He doesn't have a distinct injury from the general public.
If I gave you the piles and piles of research I've been doing on this since this has been erected, this isn't my first rodeo. They tried to prosecute me in 2012 for doing this exact same thing, except for the barricade was a fence, and I pulled it out of the ground.
On Elberta?
Yeah, they put a fence right across here. It was from this pole to that pole. And that fence was erected, I don't know, probably 10 times in 2012, and it was ripped down by me probably 5 times. And ripped down by other people about 5 times. And Beth Frisky wrote a report, submitted it to Doherty, who was the prosecutor at the time. He recused himself because I work for a law office that works with, against his office. And Charlie Koop, the late Charlie Koop from Antrim County, was appointed by the Attorney General as a special prosecutor. And guess what Charlie Koop did? He declined to prosecute me for ripping down the gate because he determined that the village of Elberta does not have the right to obstruct my traffic through this publicly dedicated access road to the Lake Michigan.
So see, based on that, from what you're explaining to me, it seems like you do have a leg to stand on.
That is what I'm saying.
But you said you didn't, so I'm confused on that aspect.
To sue in civil court, I don't have, but I do have a legal standing to argue in court that any citation I receive should be nullified because I have the right to do what I'm doing, and the village doesn't have the right to obstruct my public use.
Let's say you get a civil infraction, or whatever it is, civil ordinance ticket, okay? Let's say you get that, you do your informal, and you go to a formal, and let's say the courts rule in your favor, okay?
Yep.
Your ticket goes away.
then my ticket goes away. If you get a call that I'm down here riding my motorcycle, are you going to come back down here and write me a ticket?
But Elberta Beach or Elberta Village doesn't remove this barricade. What they do is then they move it over and then they stagger it so no motor vehicles can get through. Then what are you?
This is a 50-foot easement. Okay?
Then what are you going to do?
This is a 50-foot easement, 50 feet. Okay, this is about 10 and a half feet.
Right, but what I'm...
So 15 feet of 50.
What I'm saying is they make it so you can't get your motorcycle through, but it's still open to foot traffic.
They can't make it so I can't get my motorcycle through.
Just humor me. They do that. Then what are you going to do?
They can't.
No.
It's an impossibility that I can't get past here with my motorcycle. Whatever they erect.
Are you going to go beyond the 50 foot to gain access?
No, but
because then you'd be trespassing.
Probably. But
is that what you're going to do?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay. But I doubt that. I don't.
So what you're telling me?
I doubt they have the ability to prohibit my motorcycle from getting past here.
What you're telling me to do is, instead of writing you an ordinance citation, is to go to the village of Elberta and say, hey, this guy is going to go on there no matter what we do, whether we write on ordinance citations or not. He says it's a 50-foot easement. You need to erect something that blocks the 50-foot easement in a way that he cannot get his motorcycle through.
Why would you want to do that?
But that's not what I'm saying for you to do.
Is that what you're telling me to do?
What I'm suggesting that you do is determine whether or not I have violated any ordinance regarding this temporary closure.
But then we don't.
And if so,
then we don't have to go through the whole process of the informal to formal to whatever. You can have your day in court by addressing the proper issue with Elberta instead of trying to sidestep it and go through the sheriff's office because like I said, that's not going to fix anything. The court, let's say the court gets rid of the ticket that you get.
Yep.
And Elberta comes down here and does that.
Yep. And I get right past it again. Are you going to come back after the judge says, I'm nullifying your ticket because they can't do what they did?
50 foot, if they make it so you can't get through here.
How are they going to do that?
How wide's your motorcycle?
You know how easy it is to get a motorcycle over anything they have? I mean, that's a little bit heavier of an enduro, but
what I'm saying is
I can put a ramp right there, ramp it up here, and jump off the other edge.
What I'm saying is, you might make it to an extreme where they go to and then what are you going to do?
We shall
see. Are you going
to yet to be determined?
Are you going to criminally trespass just so you can make your point? I'm all for you fighting Elberta and doing whatever you think is necessary.
Sand products, you know the high roads that go up here, the ones towards the bluff here, the ones not. So the 50-foot easement basically is straight this way, and everyone deviates from the 50-foot easement. Every time you drive up higher, every time you drove by there.
As far as I know, you're the only one that's been driving through
No,
there.
I'm saying in previous times, every time someone has driven up to the high roads, they're off the 50-foot easement and trespassing on Sand Products Corporation. Well, that's been going on since 1907.
Which I guess apparently now they gave us a letter, according to the lady, saying we can criminally trespass them.
I've got a copy of that letter.
Okay.
So, but this is the other argument, is that there's a concept called the highway by user, and because there's been over a 15-year period where the public has been utilizing that, and the Sand Products has acquiesced to that and not objected to that and not given you that trespass letter back years and years ago, that is an adverse possession in a highway by user. The road's on their property. And what this is doing is it's giving the Sand Products Corporation the ability to potentially cause the abandonment of this entire Lakeside Boulevard, this 50-foot easement, and the public access that has been historically made even to the bluff side on Sand Product Corporation's property, which has basically been turned into a highway by user.
So the Sand Corporation doesn't have any authority over their own property now?
They do, but they've abandoned, they've
So that's a no?
It's been so long
So
that
that's a
they've
no?
abandoned their ability. If someone pursued a highway by user argument and said that the property belongs to the public because it has been used as a public access for so long,
So
there's
no.
a legal authority to.
So they don't have any right to the property, correct?
They have a right to their property, but you
Kind of a
could
broad statement.
argue that the highway by user statutes would permit the public from continuing to utilize that section of their property because they've abandoned the right to object to it because they haven't done so.
So they don't have any right.
To that part.
To that part, if it's determined by a court that it's an adverse possession, which it is.
So I guess since people have been using it for, what is it, you said 15 plus years?
More than that.
More than that?
Yeah, you look back.
I'm sure probably people have been walking their property for 15 plus years.
Yeah.
So by your
Like all these trails.
so
all
by-
these trails
so
too.
by
That's
your-
adverse possession
so
too.
by your understanding, they no longer own anything that they
I'm
own.
not saying they don't own it. I'm just saying that they can't restrict the use because it's been adversely possessed, and they would have to go to court, civil court, to try and make an argument.
So does that mean
that
the
they
people on the
actually still own it.
reservation who've been crossing across your property for years
It's not the same people though.
have a right to cross your property because they've been crossing your property for years? They have an argument.
Except for, guess what I did?
They have an
You
argument
drove back
there?
on my property, didn't you?
I was there.
Did you see the obstructions I put up to delineate where my property lines are? The entire length, all the way to the reservation and the back.
But how
line.
many years have they been using it prior to that?
Who?
People crossing the reservation to get to Wesco.
They're not doing it anymore. So
Because I helped you out and I stopped them.
I'm saying that if they would have went to court at some point and said,
They
hey,
could have used that argument?
the adverse possession.
So you would have had no
absolutely.
right to your property?
Yes, they could have. If they would have said, hey, this is a thoroughfare, we've been using it forever, and you look at the Google Maps, and it show, if you look at the current Google Maps, I've done a lot of excavation back there, but even the current Google Maps show their walking paths from the reservation through that. They could, if they would have went to court before I cut that access off and put no trespassing signs up that delineates that this is my property, you cannot use it. What has Sand Product Corporation done down here, to your knowledge, had to ever delineate where their property lines start and end?
Well, there's stakes over there.
That was put up by the Mix. The Mixes put those up, and that's not even on their property. They put those up on Sand Product Corporation's property.
How do you know they put it up?
Go ask them. I know they put it up.
Don't talk to me.
They said it at a public meeting they put them up
They
there
did?
because people would drive up that dune in trucks. So they put those across there so people wouldn't drive up that way on the dune.
Is there any more stakes down there too?
I don't know. Like when Ken Bonney worked for the village, he erected some stakes along the 50-foot easement to kind of show where this side of it was because they were laying out where they might want to propose, find out where their road actually is. But
So does that not qualify for what you just said?
no, because because the Sand Product Corporation had nothing to do with it. It was the village of Elberta.
Is the village of Alberta working with Sand Corporation?
Somewhat, I think.
So
I think their attorneys are working together, obviously.
If they were working together, wouldn't they ask the village to do that for them instead of Sand Corporations driving or flying or busing?
It's
or
not the village's responsibility to protect private property interests. And you know that just as much as anybody.
But couldn't they do that as a favor? Hey, can you do this? We're having some trouble. We're Sand Corporation's based out of.
I'd like to call Benzonia Township, talk to Jason Bernard and say, hey, could you come barricade my property off to keep people from the reservation going across it, using it as a road, as a walkway to go to Wesco or to
Hey, try it
the
out.
Shell station?
See what he says.
Yeah, they'd laugh.
Well, that's, what is that, Benzonia? That's Benzonia.
Yeah, so
Maybe
they're protecting private property rights.
Maybe the village
who's
of
done?
Alberta, if you had property in here, would do it.
I highly doubt it.
You never know.
Hey, Eric,
I don't
let me
have
get your
enough
phone.
I gotta go. I've got a
You
lot of
gotta
stuff
go?
to do. So
Alright.
whatever, I guess if you're not gonna issue me a ticket right now, I guess figure it out. And
Figure it out and let you know.
You know where I'm at.
Do you have a phone number?
Yep.
I can call and let you know.
Yep.
I do appreciate our talk because, like I said, I'm not the undersheriff, I'm not the sheriff, and I'm not the lieutenant, so I don't know what y'all had in your meeting going on. But my recommendation for you, to me, just talking with you, it sounds like you want us to write you a citation so you can address it in court.
I want you to determine whether or not you can even issue me a citation.
If there is an ordinance with the village, we can. Okay, but like I said, I'm not the keeper of all the village ordinances or the township ordinances.
I absolutely understand that, and I'm at a loss as to whether you have legal authority to issue me any type of citation for what I just did as well. I am at a loss.
Well, if there's an ordinance in effect, by all means I do. And you said you've seen drafts, but you haven't gone down.
I've seen drafts of a resolution,
but
not an ordinance.
But you never followed up to see the final ordinance. You just told the...
I saw what Kyle gave me the other day, the undersheriff. He gave me a copy of a draft that's not signed of a resolution.
But you never followed up to see a signed one.
Yeah, it's a resolution. It's not even an ordinance.
How do you spell your last name so I get that right?
V-A-N.
Got that.
D-U-S-S-E-N.
Capital D?
Yep.
D-U-S-E-N.
No space in the name.
Oh. What's a good phone number?
651.
231?
Yep. 651-9189.
9189?
Yep.
My recommendation for you, and I know you're going to take it with a grain of salt, but my recommendation just for you, continue working with the village. I know you don't want to.
They're not reasonable.
And
there's nothing reasonable.
Continue working with the sheriff's office. I don't know if this, you said it falls under the jurisdiction of the village to maintain this road and has jurisdiction over it to regulate it. So obviously by your definitions the county doesn't, as in the road commission.
Yeah, it's not a county road.
Continue to work with them instead of just saying screw it, I'm going to do what I want to do. And
it's been done. Okay, I've been going through this since 2008. We've been erecting
well,
gates.
This hasn't been here since 2008.
No, I mean I'm saying erecting gates across
ever
here.
Since I started
they get torn down.
Ever since I started working here, this has been opened.
That's because of Eric.
3-4 years ago.
Okay. Well, you weren't here in 2012.
This hasn't been. How long you said? This is new today.
So this is another thing you can write down. Occupy Elberta Beach. Go to Occupy Elberta Beach on Facebook, and it gives the entire history of what's been going on here since even back. It has photographs of a fence that used to be here that got torn down by me and a bunch of other people. And got frisky. There's a police report. I gave it to Kyle the other day from 2012, where prosecution was declined on me after I tore the fence down and tried to arrest me for malicious destruction of property, and Charlie declined to prosecute. So that's the facts of that incident. So what's this current prosecutor going to do if I bring a loader down here and move this? I don't know. I've asked her that, and she doesn't know. So I guess that remains to be seen.
My guess is she's probably hoping people act like people and work together to resolve.
That's what I'm trying to do right now.
No, you're trying to force people's hands instead of working with people.
That's your characterization.
All right, I really do gotta go. I'm already late.
Okay, I don't want to tie you up anymore.
All right.
I will check into that ordinance for you.
Yeah.
Because
I'll come meet you if you want to issue me a ticket. I'll meet you anyway.
Well, I don't work the next 2 days.
Okay.
I have off, so it'll probably be over the weekend.
Right.
But I will check into the ordinance for you and let you know, since you don't want to, and let you know on that half. Okay.
All right. Cool.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Can we part shaking hands? It's good
Sure.
it's good for TV, right?
Huh?
It's good for TV, right?
It is.
Two different opposing sides shaking hand, understanding each other.
Yep.
Correct?
Keeping it civil.
Keeping it civil. I like that.
That's why it's a civil infraction. If possibly a civil infraction.
Well, I don't think it's a misdemeanor.
No.